Welcome along to Zooming with Driven, our motoring webcast, podcast, cast of four is what we are. And we are back after 2 months off, and it's lovely to be back as well. Funny old country we live in, isn't it? We've got all those public holidays, and they often say, the Aussies, they give us a bit of stick, don't they? They say we're the country that doesn't start before March, and it's kind of true to form. Here we are. We've got to catch up with the team, and we've got so much to get through. So thank you so much for joining us. The show, of course, brought to you by Honda. Only one price, the best price. Thank you to Honda for sponsoring the show. Let's get into it. We're going to start the episode off with the cars that we have been driving over Christmas. What a good place to start. Who'd like to kick it off?
Yeah, we've got so much stuff to catch up on. We're going to rapid fire through about a dozen news stories. And yeah, probably we ended Zooming last year, a week or two before Christmas. So we have our Christmas cars for 2 weeks, which is just a chance to work with generally a couple of cars or brands, just to get a little bit more, 2 or 3 weeks with a specific vehicle to see what they're like, day to day and kind of Christmas and load it up.
And everyone kind of chooses their car design on their holiday, don't they?
To some extent, yeah, our family and desire and plans over Christmas. And I had a Ford Everest Platinum Edition. So we hadn't driven the Everest, but 7 seats, really good for the family, 3 kids and stuff. So we went away, packed it all full. And
heaps of boot space?
Yeah, just being 7 seats, we didn't actually use the third row, but you fold it down and use heaps. And yeah, that was really, really good. And obviously it was the SUV version of the car that won our car of the year,
of course.
Being the Ranger. So yeah, that was good. Enjoyed the Everest.
Just while we're all rattling on about our holidays, I didn't have a holiday. I worked through Christmas, just saying. Thank you. But I said to Ford, just as a joke, if you got any Mustangs lying around out the back, I'd love one of those over Christmas. And they said, yes, we do. We've got the Mark 1. So they've still got a Mark 1 Mustang. Obviously, that was a really rare car. I think 50 came into New Zealand. They've kept one. Just I guess they use it drive days and just wheel it out occasionally. So that was a fantastic time over Christmas. And I also spent a little bit of time in a Mazda CX-5 Active in Zircon Sand Metallic, which is that really weird kind of beachy colour. So that was a really cool car too, with the green bits on. So that was my two kind of had a car for each foot over Christmas.
We also had the Ford Ranger. We've picked up a long-termer. We're doing a little bit of a 3-model long-term test with our AA-driven 2022 Car of the Year Ford Ranger. So we've had the Ranger Raptor first. We had that for a few weeks.
That's the new one.
Yeah, we've had the Sport V6. So we're testing all the different engines, and we've got a Ranger Wild Track. We've had the V6 over Christmas, and we're also testing the 2-litre, which kind of kicks into our long-term test as well. So long-term test. We also have a number of long-term that a little bit more than the standard 7 days that we generally get with our press media cars. So sometimes it could be 2, 3, 4 months or more just to actually live with the car and see what it's like over a longer term and just reveal some little secrets that the car might be hiding within 7 days or so. So, yeah.
Do I want a Ranger Raptor?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So good,
I want one. That's awesome.
Yeah, it got all the grunt now, eh? It's everything that we always wanted from that car.
Yeah, we've got we've got 3 different models of Ranger, but we've got the Wild Track 2.0 bi-turbo at the moment as well. We've got a couple of stories on the V6 and the Raptor as well. But yeah, I mean, across the board, the Ranger, I mean, we think that's why we did award it the Car of the Year last year.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's probably worth an award or something. That
probably.
Car. It's so good.
Yeah. Yep.
Any other long-termers?
Well, I actually had a couple of the long-termers over the Christmas period. The first was the MG ZS EV long-termer that we're running, that we've been running for a while now. And it's the new model, so it's got the slightly larger battery with more range.
What is the range, you remember?
It's about 320 kilometres.
Yeah, right. Still not up there with the BYD, though, in that respect.
No, but it's a much smaller battery.
Well, if I may correct you, the BYD does come with 2 battery ranges, so the shorter range one is actually 320, so they're exactly the same.
Okay, cool. Stand corrected.
Yeah. But,
sorry, David.
Don't get into a battery size argument with that. And the other car I had was the Renault Arcana RS line, which is not a proper RS.
Why is it not a proper RS? Is this battery as well?
No. The RS line is basically, it's got a 1.3 litre 4-cylinder engine.
Much like how Audi does it with the S line or the S, or the RS cars. Yeah, cool.
So it's painted in the exclusive RS colour.
Yeah,
so it's
cool.
bright orange. It looks the part, but it's certainly not a performance vehicle.
We've got something a little bit different with the Renault Arcana. It's one of those cars that you probably don't think of first up or second up with your shopping, but it's an interesting little package.
Yeah.
It's got that swoopy SUV styling to it. We're doing a 3-model test, 1 per month.
Right.
So we started out with the RS line. We're going into the Intense, kind of a medium everyday spec. And then we're finishing up in the hybrid throughout March. So brand new Renault Arcana hybrid launches basically in New Zealand in March, and we were one of the first ones to drive it. So yeah, a little bit of a different long-term test with the Renault Arcana.
Can I just back it up a little bit on my Christmas car? Because I had to go on a caravan trip, and it was a big caravan, and they said on the night before, oh gosh, we need to tell you, you need a 3.5 ton towing capacity. I said, no worries, I've got 4.5 ton. Turn up with a new Dodge Ram. Oh my God, I was the coolest guy at the caravan park with that thing, eh? Worth more than most batches when you kind of consider the caravan and the car setup. But amazing, what a cool thing, awesome engine, great towing, even had the adjustable brakes on the dash, but the gas, eh? I witnessed it going up the Bombay Hills. It dropped, you know how it predicts how many Ks you've got until your tank is empty? It dropped 100 Ks coming up the Bombay Hills. Like, it burns gas. But what a thing. I think it's just one of my favourite cars right now.
May I ask, do you have an HT licence?
Because
you know what my next question's going to be.
yes. Wait, what are the rules on that? Not if I didn't have one.
I have no idea.
Neither.
Yeah.
Glad I dodged that bullet. There's a quick change of tone. Sad news, especially in the motoring world. Ken Block, we lost him 2nd of January.
Can you believe it's been 2 months already?
No.
Yeah, I mean, everything's probably been said about Ken Block, but yeah, obviously to anybody into cars, it was a tragedy. Probably one of the figureheads, icons of motoring and motorsport.
Yeah.
And just such an passionate enthusiast. I think most of us probably met him at some point.
Did you meet him?
Yeah, I went for a ride with him in his Fiesta once.
Oh, wow.
In Melbourne.
I interviewed him about shoes once. That was good.
Why shoes?
Because he was founded DC Shoes.
Did he?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I used to wear DC shoes when I was a kid.
And you anchor zooming were driven.
Yeah.
Did he honestly come up with DC shoes?
Yeah, and he did
That's not
those
DC
special like FIA approved sneakers in the Subaru colours. That's what I interviewed about. Yeah.
See, I think that the thing that you'd like to award Ken Block with is the fact that he just made motoring mainstream, didn't he? He got people that weren't into motorsport watching car videos. Amazing.
Definitely, yeah, and all facets. So not just the petrol side of thing with the insane Fords and the Subarus and the Mustang and the Unicorn and everything like that, but also the electric stuff that he was starting to get into with Audi as well.
Very good point.
So when he did the Las Vegas, but he obviously handed the mantle a little bit to Travis Pastrana recently, and I think he was just sitting back and starting to enjoy life a little bit more as well. So that was probably the sad part, but yeah, really, really sad to see him go.
Right, let's keep the show moving because you guys have been working hard, have been doing some travel. Melbourne, the BMW i7 launch.
Yeah, that was me. The first kind of press launch of the year, just over to Melbourne to drive the new i7 7 Series. So they do make an ICE version, but New Zealand's just getting the i7. Obviously not a huge seller in terms of volume, but interesting that the big luxury premium sedan is now all electric. The big selling point was the huge TV screen in the back, which is probably this size. You sit in the back seat, it's a whole theatre in the back seat.
Really?
So a little bit of compatibility issues, but for those who are in the market for buying an i7, they can worry about that.
Yeah.
We just sat back and enjoyed it. And really, really good launch. The BMW i7 was, the first one for kicking off 2023.
Now, I saw this one the other day and I went, yes, Ineos Grenadier. My dad likes it as well. It's the old Land Rover, or is it the Defender? It's the Defender, isn't it?
Basically, it's a sort of a spiritual successor to the Defender. Jim Ratcliffe is the man behind it all. He is the founder and CEO of the Ineos Group, which is an absolutely enormous petrochemical company.
Also sponsored the America's Cup team that we went against.
Yes, and lots of sports sponsorships. And basically, he was a big Land Rover Defender fan. So when Land Rover stopped making it, he does what every billionaire does and says, I'll buy it off you and I'll keep building it. Land Rover said no, refused to sell him the tooling, so he made his own.
Wow.
And that's
So it's a spite car.
It is literally a spite car.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And
But it's a very, very good spite car.
Yeah.
I went to Scotland to drive it. So we're driving up in the Highlands of Scotland, up around Inverness, and the mud and we didn't have snow, but there was snow before we were there.
Yeah.
And it was just incredible. It's every bit as good as a Defender off-road, and yet it actually drives nicely on-road, which a Defender could never say it ever did.
Yeah, right.
So, and the price point on it looks fantastic. It's kind of nostalgic in its look, and it's $105,000 starting point.
It's basically, they're doing it in two versions, petrol and diesel.
Yeah.
They're both 3 litre BMW units.
Yeah.
So
Can't go wrong.
they're fairly reliable,
Yeah.
fairly proven. And then you can add options onto that. So you can easily make it far, far more than 105,000. But the basic spec for both petrol and diesel is 105 grand.
Lovely.
Wow. So thumbs up for the Ineos Grenadier.
I'm
It's
into
a
it.
really cool thing.
Okay.
I really liked it.
Yeah, right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Fantastic. New Zealand car of the year poll results.
We run our own AA-driven New Zealand Car of the Year that we awarded the Ford Ranger to in late last year, December last year. There's also another major award, which is the New Zealand Motoring Writers Guild.
Okay.
So of which three of us are members of that, so we are judges. There's about 20, 25 motoring media in New Zealand that judges the Motoring Guild Award as well. So from top 12 finalists, that was awarded to... Shall we announce it?
Go, Sam, have a guess.
BYD. It has to be.
Yeah, BYD.
It's just a wonderful package. The what do they call it? Atto 3.
Atto 3.
BYD
Yeah.
Atto 3, yeah.
It's what a car.
It is very impressive. Not that I want to detract from it. Not perfect, but
No, absolutely.
really impressive in just about every single way.
Absolutely. I've been driving one for 3 months now, and there are a few little things. I still can't get my Apple phone connected to the stereo to play things. I can't see the dash properly. I'm sure there's a way to brighten that up. But at the core of it, it's a car with 440 Ks. It is the car that has made me go, electric cars are epic. When I was like, I hate electric cars.
After we've been telling you for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I didn't believe you guys.
How's your charging at home situation been?
Brilliant.
All right?
It's amazing. So I've got the fast charger at home now, and in 4.5 hours I have a full tank. But here's the thing that you don't kind of consider when you've got an electric car, is that tank is full nearly every night. Like if I remember to plug it in, I start every day with a full tank, which never happens with a petrol car.
How have your power bills been?
Oh, about $50 more.
Okay, yeah.
It's Sarah mentioned it, but like when you kind of start to consider that I'm not paying for gas, it's a no-brainer. You
Or
know?
chocolate bars when you go to the gas station.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's
Or
honestly,
Matchbox cars.
What a thing! What a tool! And anyone comes to me and goes, "What car should I buy right now?" It's the first car I say, "Get a BYD." It would change your whole approach to cars.
Can you pick out a tune on the door banjos yet?
I can do ding, 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 ding.
He just likes it because it's gym themed inside. I know why.
Yeah,
I know.
dumbbells in there.
Dumbbells, big deal, yeah.
And apparently the dashboard is based off the designer's calf muscles because he likes his calf muscles.
Correct. Yeah.
I wouldn't have gone for my calf muscles. So I don't.
We don't want to know what you would have gone.
I don't want to go.
We'll take a quick break on that note. We'll come back. We've got so much more to get through. It's going to be magnificent. It's lovely to catch up with you here on Zooming with Driven.
Castrol Edge. More power, same fuel. Unlock the very edge of performance.
Welcome back to Zooming with Driven, part 2. Lovely to have you back for the first episode of the year. We're going to get into Great Wall Motors now with, what's your name? David.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
I hopped over to Melbourne earlier in the year. So Great Wall Motors is not Great Wall Motors anymore, it's GWM. So there's this new global policy, it's one GWM, and they're bringing all the brands under the GWM thing. So you might previously have known it as the Great Wall Ute. We call it the Cannon here. That's not actually the name of the vehicle. Funnily enough, it's something I learnt while I was away. It's like a model name, but it's just GWM Ute. That's
Okay.
the correct thing.
Are they distancing themselves from their past for some reason?
No, it's just all coming under this one brand for reasons which I shall shortly explain. We've also got a new brand from GWM called Ora now. Now, we've talked about this a bit in the past. Remember the Ora Good Cat that we talked about last year? So it's now on sale in New Zealand, but it's not called the Good Cat. It's just called the GWM Ora. So we had a go on that. There's another brand called Tank, which is sort of heavy-duty off-road vehicles with a bit of a fashion aspect. So that was actually a really popular story and video we did on Driven.
What do you mean fashion aspect?
If you look at the Tank, and we'll flash up a picture for you now, but it looks really cool. It's it's almost like a cut price sort of Mercedes G-Wagon. It's got a real kind of unique look to it. But it's a proper off-road vehicle, and it's hybrid as well. So it's a petrol-electric hybrid. Imagine like a Land Cruiser Prado, but it's petrol-electric. So that's an interesting vehicle. That's not on sale in New Zealand yet. It probably is coming. They're just doing some local market evaluation, but they wouldn't have taken us over there to drive it
if they weren't going to do it.
It's on sale in Australia already. There's also a new thing coming called the GWM Ora Sport, and we'll again show you a picture of that because it's something that has to be seen to be believed, especially in pink. So it's kind of like a homage to a Porsche Panamera. We had to go on that as well. That's a really good quality thing, and the top one's really fast at 0 to 100 in 4.3 seconds. Wow. That's quick.
Homage, definitely not rip-off.
And
Not rip-off, not rip-off, homage.
And that's a big car doing that 4 seconds.
It's a sedan. It's a similar size like a Tesla. You could think of it as a Tesla Model 3 rival, probably. It'd be a similar price. So it's probably not quite as quick as a Tesla Model 3 Performance, because they're super fast, but it won't be 100 grand either. It's much, much less than that.
Gosh, you guys have been busy. Who drove the AMG C40, 43 to Bathurst?
Yeah, we also went over to Bathurst for the 12-hour and also drove the new Mercedes-AMG C43. So that's a little bit of a precursor to the C-Class range, as the C63 is coming. So that'll be the Halo model range for the C-Class. We've started off with the C200, the C300, the C350, the 300 as well under that. The 350 is a plug-in hybrid. Really, really good plug-in hybrid, by the way. It just missed our car of the year voting, but that's one to look out for.
What makes it so great in terms of its hybrid powers?
Probably its range, just from the plug-in aspect. You're getting 100 kilometres just from the plug-in aspect.
Yeah, cool.
So I think the week we had it, it actually got more range than when we picked it up. So just because we're using more battery. So the range topper at the moment, until the C63 arrives, is the C43. Same 2-litre, 4-cylinder, all-wheel drive, 300 kilowatts. From a 4-cylinder 2-litre engine, which itself is incredible, 310 kilowatts with a little hybrid boost as well, mild hybrid boost. And it's got this really cool, tricky electric motor attached to the turbocharger that spools it up faster at low speeds, so minimises lag. So, which is straight from the Formula One program. So we're starting to see a bit of drip down from Formula One over the last 7 to 8 years of the turbo era, making it into road cars in a relatively humble C-Class. So really good, really quick, 4.6 seconds, 0 to 100.
Far out.
We drove from Sydney to Bathurst and Bathurst to back to Sydney in that car, but again watched the Mercedes-Benz enter and qualify on pole and win the Bathurst 12-hour event. So Mercedes 1, 2, 3 last year, 2022, and finished pole and first and third this year as well. So they've really got a bit of a domination going at the Bathurst 12-hour. But yeah, great event. It's a good see over there. 32 degrees most days, so it was a bit of a reminder that we are in summer, despite local weather. But yeah, interesting car as well. The C43 is the range topper until C63 arrives with about 30 to 40 more kilowatts. But it's hard to imagine the C63 being much better than the C43.
So that was
still going to use the same 2-litre 4-cylinder.
Yeah, did you say 300 kilowatt, eh?
Yeah, 310.
310. That's just a whopping, eh? Like...
And I think the thing about that car is previously the C43, because there's sort of been a bit of a step between the AMG models, is like the real AMG models, which have the hand-built engines. But the previous C43 had a Mercedes-Benz engine that was tweaked. But this one, and Dean might correct me, that's got the hand-built 2-litre engine, same as the A45 and same as the C63. So the C43 has taken a huge step up.
It's a proper AMG now. It's a growing-up AMG.
So we'll get the C63 in a couple of months' time.
That's exciting. I mean, that's going to be a hard one to convince the purists, isn't it? Because that's the big change to the 2-litre battery-operated version as opposed to the traditional V8. But they come into the market with 600-plus horsepower, and who's not going to enjoy that?
Well, there's actually I'm digressing now, but there's a bunch of final edition C63 models on sale in New Zealand at the moment. I'm thinking of you.
Oh, no, absolutely. I saw them, but I saw they had they'd done horrible detailing, like graphics up the side and stuff. And I was like, why'd you do that, man? Just keep, and they were $230,000, so there's no chance of that. Honda Heritage Day, once again, worth mentioning.
Damien and I popped along to, it was ostensibly a Honda launch for the Jazz RS, which is an interesting little car, but more power, but sportier suspension. But Honda New Zealand also brought along a lot of its heritage cars. As we talked about them before, they've got a huge collection of really cool heritage cars. So we had to go. We actually got to drive out there because it was out at Carry Boomrock, which is sort of an hour out of Auckland. And we, Damien and I, got to drive out in the 1991 Honda NSX first-gen manual that I own. So when I say we drove out in it, I let Damien ride along with me while I drove out in it. So that's a sensational car. They only bought it in 2020. Honda New Zealand, they decided they wanted a really beautiful NSX. So this is a sensational car. It's, I think, it's done 49,000 Ks.
Yeah, it's utterly immaculate.
absolutely mint. It's absolutely original apart from the tyres.
Designed by Centre, the NSX, isn't it?
No.
He built it. He did everything.
Is that a rumour?
He drew it and then he built it by hand.
Oh, is it like Posh Beckham in the Evoque?
Well,
It's a bit of an urban myth, I think. He did some skids around it.
the final refinements, I believe.
So anyway, we won't dwell on that car. That was sensational, but there was a bunch of other really great cars out there as well. So we had to go in the S2000 as well, which was
cool
for a
car.
while. That's really
When that came at 9,000 up, midline, you're like, oh, how exciting.
Drove a couple of older Civic Type Rs, which are interesting. But you know, we've done Civic Type Rs a bit with the launch of the new model last year. But probably the car that made the biggest impression for me anyway on the day was the Integra Type R DC2, which is just so raw. Like, I couldn't believe it.
Really?
It's so raw.
What year is that?
I think it's a 2000, the one they've got. It's one of the later ones, DC2 in yellow.
Yeah.
Was
that one of the last gens before they went turbocharged? Was that even late in that? So it's naturally aspirated, VTEC, big cams.
Did they ever do a turbo Integra? I don't think so.
No, not in that era.
Yeah.
It's just
so
purity.
This is absolute pure. It's like driving a racing car.
It is just so surprisingly raw.
Yeah. So that was great day, great experience, a lot of fun.
Probably, I wager, is that the best gearbox ever?
Yeah.
The 5-speed in that DC2
Really?
Integra is one of my favourite gearboxes of all time.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely
Still, all these years on.
absolutely sensational car, but I wouldn't want to drive it for a year. But if you said to me I could drive the NSX for a year, I would. It was fantastic.
I want to dwell on the NSX because how is the NSX, and I missed out, unfortunately, I wanted to go, but how is the NSX aged given it's now 30 years old?
Feels fantastic. I mean, the cabin is like a 1990s car, but it always was. I mean, the cabin's nothing special. That was the whole thing about the NSX. It was just very usable and practical. It's the thing that struck me is it's because we drove out on the motorway in rush hour, and it's so tiny. Even we photographed it next to the S2000, and again, we'll show you that picture. It even looks tiny next to the S2000. It's such a small car. And you feel quite vulnerable because you're sitting right down on the ground.
You can't really sit properly in it. You've got to scrunch down because your head's touching the roof anyway.
But it was just it was sensational to drive. It was just so good, and it sounded magnificent.
Probably the only thing that really dated it in any way was the lack of power steering. Which made it insanely heavy when you had to try and do an Austin Powers style creeping 27.2.
Which I wished I'd captured on video at the time.
Don't let those opportunities slip by.
Did you also drive the latest Type R again? Which we
Yes, we did. We had just for the sake of it, because it would have been rude not to. Yeah, we drove the latest Civic Type R again as well. So they had a couple of those out there to play with. Yeah.
How did that compare kind of to the heritage cars?
I mean, the great thing about the new Civic Type R, I think, is it's a really usable car. Like, it's faster, it's more capable, it's sharper. It hasn't lost any of that. But on the road, it's just so much more usable. I happily drive a Civic Type R, a new one every day. It's just a really great car.
Which you wouldn't with the NSX or S2000.
Well, I might with the NSX just because it's an NSX. Probably not with the Integra. Like, as fantastic as it was, and what a great experience to drive it. But I don't think I could live with it every day.
I'm just sitting here pondering it, how we build cars now. And it's like, back in the old days, we kind of built cars for purpose, and then we fitted our lifestyles in around it. Now our lifestyles have to fit before the car is made. And it's almost our mantra of how we need and desire cars is completely flipped. It's kind of purpose.
I would argue the NSX is one of the first cars that actually flipped that around, and that it was the first supercar that was actually as easy to drive as an Accord. And it started that whole, Ferraris of the era, you couldn't use first gear until the gearbox had warmed up, and they were,
fair point. Can't put your golf clubs in it though, can you?
I reckon you couldn't.
You could?
It's a pretty big boot.
Okay, all right.
You've got a boot and a frunk. Being an EV man, you'd appreciate that.
Frunk. Look, we're talking MX-5s now, so I'll just pass the ball.
No, we've got one more.
You got one more?
We've got
the
Skoda.
Enyaq.
You have to listen to me again.
So
Skoda New Zealand's just
never don't want to listen to me.
They've just launched the Enyaq in the last couple of weeks. So this is Skoda's version of all the new electric cars that are coming from Volkswagen Group. So it's a 5-seat SUV. It's quite big. It's almost as big as a Kodiaq. It is quite expensive, which is a surprise for a lot of people when your perception might be Skoda's a sort of a budget brand. It's been launched.
I don't know if they've got that perception anymore, do they?
Oh,
it's
you're modern.
European.
Sam.
No, it's European.
A lot of people are appalled at how expensive it is. So it starts at 93 grand, so there's no rebate or anything.
Yeah.
But this is part of a global thing from Skoda as well. They're saying they'll continue with the value stuff, but they also want to be a bit premium with some models, and this is one of them. And it's been launched in New Zealand in quite a high spec. It's sport line only.
Yep.
It's got the biggest battery, 80 kilowatt hours, so it's got a big range. We drove it in the South Island, so we went from Dunedin through to Queenstown.
I bet it's brilliant.
It's brilliant, really lovely car, really nicely finished. Looks really cool. I think more so when you see it in the metal than in the pictures. I mean, it looks good in the pictures, but when you see it on the road, looks absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Just one model to start with, but there will be others coming. There will be a cheaper one eventually, and there will also be the RS dual motor one. So these are single motor cars that they've launched,
cool.
but the dual motor RS I think will be pretty sensational as well.
Nice. Whew, MX-5s.
Yeah, we're also doing, well, I say we, probably I know.
It's your moment, man. It's your moment.
Running our driven MX-5 NA in the New Zealand MX-5 Racing Series. So I'll be brief because motorsport, I know, doesn't trigger too much with our readers. But we've been running this car. I'm doing the summer series. So it's just really, really cheap motorsport. Way to get into fun. Way to get off the horrible driving on the road and just have a bit of a release in the racing series. So got a little bit of support. Everything's been borrowed and everything's kind of been really, really low cost kind of thing. So even the car is sort of semi-borrowed and trailers borrowed. Thank you, Sean. And Fairview, Mazda has supported us with a few bits and pieces here and there. I'm doing
We'll just run all the sponsors on the credit list right now. Yeah.
Driven, fantastic, Driven. I'm doing the summer series 4 rounds. The reason I'm doing it is because I actually get to race at 4 different tracks that I've never raced at before, including, well, Manfield I've done before. We raced at Taupo, so I finished 3rd at Manfield. I finished 2nd at Taupo. We've also got the Pukekohe event. So we're actually entered and running in the very final last Pukekohe motorsport event in later this month. So the final send-off motorsport event.
God, it feels like we've had a lot of final send-offs.
This is the final one.
Yeah. No returns there. And then Hampton Downs in early May as well. So we've also been doing a little bit of tow testing as well. So that's when we did the Ford Ranger Raptor tow test and got some fuel economy figures, and also the Sport V6 Ranger. So we're also due to do the 2-litre turbo. So just from a towing angle perspective, the thing's about 1,200 kilograms. We've got those stories online as well. So that's been sort of just an interesting angle. Even if you're not in a motorsport, you might be into towing with your boat or your other lifestyle things as well.
Oh,
So,
a Ford Ranger Raptor for towing the boat / car / caravan.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, the fuel bills were expected to be high. Not as bad as I probably initially thought. Like down to Palmy North and back, about 800k round trip. Did about 15, 16 litres per 100. So not terrible, all things considered. But yeah, that's what we're doing. So 4 rounds. So all going all right. I'm currently 2nd in the championship. Yay.
Good man. You're good, man.
Thank you. That's what I keep telling you.
Yeah. This is back to you, Dean. You've just been to Japan.
Yeah, totally separate from the MX-5 racing, but Mazda is launching the CX-60, which is kind of like a larger version of the CX-5, which is a hugely popular car in New Zealand. Probably, I think, top 6, top 7 best-selling car in New Zealand. Brilliant car, and the CX-60 is an evolution of that. So Mazda's going through a bit of an evolutionary phase with its vehicles. So nobody really has the answer as to what the future of mobility is, whether it's petrol, diesel, electric, hybrid, anything else, hydrogen. So, but Mazda's sort of hedging its bets on the immediate future anyway. And the CX-60 is a really, really impressive package, which is, again, slightly larger than the CX-5, smaller than CX-8 and CX-9. We kind of just, it wasn't necessarily about the drive, but we visited Mazda. We visited the home of Mazda, Hiroshima. So about a 5-hour bullet train ride. So we arrived into Tokyo. We went on a bullet train down to Hiroshima. We saw the factory down there. Brilliant museum as well. Just blown away by the Mazda Museum. This first opened in May 1994. I remember doing a story on it when it first opened called the M-Trip. They've just redone it as of last year, mid-last year, May, June last year, 2022. And it's all brand new. It's not a huge museum, but you can walk through and see where it all started with a 3-wheel motorbike that Mazda built and sold through Mitsubishi dealers because it didn't have a Mazda dealer network set up. So that was its first vehicle.
3-wheel motorbike. So was it like a road motorbike?
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely. And then they evolved through to the early Mazda Rotaries, the Cosmo, all the RX-2, 345s, etc., which is all in the museum, the RX-7s. And then you walk around the corner and you get to the Holy Grail, the 1991 Le Mans winning Mazda 787B. First Japanese car to win the Le Mans 24-hour, first Rotary, of course. and it's just sitting there as like this holy grail car. So
It was a wonderful story when I saw that pop up on the Driven Instagram page of you just touching it like it's like a god.
yes, it's very ethereal to
Yeah.
actually go in there 32 years later, and it's just sitting there, the actual car that won it. So that was just a very highlight of the trip as well. But also just being in Hiroshima, we did a bit of a half-day tour of the atomic bombing site, and very sort of touching, moving aspects of that as well. So fantastic trip. We will be seeing the CX-60 probably July, August, and that's going to be closely followed by the CX-90 as well.
So, I saw pictures of that. Is a lovely, lovely looking family car.
So petrol hybrid, plug-in hybrid. There's a whole different range of things coming. Nothing's confirmed as yet, but
Style-wise, I reckon it's like kind of Range Rover-esque with its new sleek line. Man, it looks good. I was so impressed.
and inside, I mean, Mazda's probably setting the standard for Japanese interiors. Probably certainly up there with just about anything else out there. Beautiful inside as well with the CX-60. So really good. Thank you for Mazda. That was it was a great trip to Japan.
And you had some interesting food over there too, didn't you? And what was the pufferfish called?
Simpsons reference, 90s Simpsons reference, had fugu.
Yeah, fugu.
Fugu, yes.
Yeah.
Tasty fish, deadly fish.
Yeah.
There is no map to the local hospital on the back, but we went to a very exclusive Japanese restaurant and ate fugu. We had a 9-course meal. 3 of those courses were fugu. 2 of those were passable. The third one, no.
What was it?
It was fugu, called fugu milt.
What's that?
Little white balls.
Literally.
And I should probably read out the Google description of what milt is. Anyway, fugu milt. So the fish, puffer fish, live to tell the tale. Milt is a...
Whoa. It lived to tell the tale?
I live to tell the tale.
Oh, I thought the fish didn't though, right?
No, I lived, yes. I said it so fast. So fugu milt, we had plenty of fugu, which is just like it's white fish. It was okay.
Yeah.
A little bit overrated, but... fugu milt is a sperm-filled reproductive gland of a male fish. So
That's why I asked it's weird if the fish survived.
I found that out afterwards. We had a chef there, a famous chef.
Yeah.
Before we even knew what it was, even he was gagging, and there was almost dry reach. Even thinking about it now, I'm starting to get...
Did they wait for your reviews on the Mazdas before they gave you tasty fish, deadly fish?
No.
They didn't. All right, well, that was kind.
Yeah.
Right, well, this has been fun. We're at that point, though. Print covers. We need to catch up over that because there's obviously something great coming up this weekend, as it does every Saturday.
And obviously we haven't run Zooming since mid-December, so just to catch up on the covers, which are all stories online now, you can find at driven.co.nz. We've done cover stories on the Ram, T-Rex, the MG ZS EV, our long-termer, the Hyundai RN22E, that's a bit of a precursor to the Ioniq 6 coming out as well.
Which is apparently wild.
Yep, definitely. The Mazda MX-5 GT and Toyota GR86 comparison, not comparison, just a little bit of a celebration of sports cars.
Yep.
The GWM Ora, the
yep.
Ineos Grenadier. These are all covers that we've done in our break, so we never stop.
No.
And of course, this weekend, David.
Mercedes-AMG C43, which we've already talked about.
Yeah.
So
Hey.
that's one to look out for this week.
Tireless work, guys. I was in Fiji and I was camping. I had a lovely summer, but thank you for your hard work. That is it for Serving with Driven, our first week back. It is so good to be back. Of course, you can catch us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and at our home, which is driven.co.nz. Thank you for watching. We'll be back next week, we promise.